It's interesting for me to watch the new guard of Silicon Valley executives get involved in politics.
Well, we're thrilled that Mark has taken this step. As you know, our 375 members include Facebook and Google and other newer companies that have just had such an important global presence. And when someone of Mark's stature steps forward on a major policy issue like this, it only helps our overall long-term efforts to get this across the goal line.
I can't figure out if this is about immigration first or about immigration period, whether this is the issue or it's the beginning of more political involvement by not just Facebook but some of the new guard of social media companies and so on here in Silicon Valley.
I think it's the beginning of deeper engagement across technology sectors with some of these newer companies, many of whom are members of the Silicon Valley Leadership Group. When David Packard, co-founder of Hewlett-Packard, started our organization 37 years ago, it was similar. People said, well, finally technology is engaging. Technology has been engaging now for decades. What we need to make sure of, especially on key issues like immigration reform, is that newer companies coming up, often with young founders, young CEOs, understand the importance of policy as well as civic and community engagement. Mark Zuckerberg gets it, and we're proud of what he's doing and the great work that Facebook is doing, and we're partnering with them and the new organization that he has formed, Forward.us, on our own immigration strategy, collectively worked together.
Yeah, I think the thing that is old in Silicon Valley is somewhat young people getting really rich and really powerful really fast, which is not the path that things typically move in Washington, D.C. What is this sort of process by which, when you're meeting with an executive who wants to get something done in Washington, what do you try to coach them up and teach them?
What we try to remind leaders, and this trip that we're on right now in Washington, D.C. for the last 3 days is a key example, is that members of Congress are almost across the board incredibly smart, yet usually lack private sector experience, let alone technology or innovation economy experience. And we cannot take for granted that they know our world any more than we know their world. So what we try to do is build that bridge. Talk to them in a way that doesn't put them on their heels or make them stop listening, but explain the importance that our success has not only on America's innovation economy, but the economy overall.
Let me ask you that. I mean, how do you tick off a congressman? What should you not say if you're a Silicon Valley executive meeting a congressman for the first time?
Well, first of all, you mentioned those young startups, those young innovators. I jokingly like to say that Democrat, Republican, Liberal, Conservative, House, Senate, everyone loves startup CEOs. They only start to hate you when you become really successful. So the first thing we try to remind folks is just be real. Be yourself, head and heart. Give them good, honest, accurate data, that's head, and your own stories, that's heart, and make it relevant to what they're trying to address to move our nation forward. Our CEOs are not poli-sci majors, they're not government affairs majors, they are technologists, innovators, and entrepreneurs. That shines through with legislators. Their sincerity shines through. The fact that they have left running their own global businesses to tend to the nation's business is universally respected as well.
So it's more than just writing a check? Because I think the Congress people like that too.
Well, the Silicon Valley Leadership Group, as you know, nearly 40 years old, founded by David Packard. We don't endorse candidates. We don't write political contributions as an organization. We do the more traditional type of advocacy based on the merits and the case of the issue. And so we don't play in that game at all. Others do. We think that's perfectly legitimate, but that's not what we do. We try to win with the force of our arguments rather than the value of our checkbooks.